episode, Bart's Dead.
What?
The episode comes to us at season 1. After leaving for school late, this results in Bart Simpson being late for a plane ride and has to catch another one. Apparently, the plane was having some engine trouble and it crashes, killing everybody on board, even our beloved Bart Simpson. Throughout the majority of the episode, it's all about mourning from the family over the loss of Bart, until a flashback shows Bart inside of a coffin going to a cemetery. Inside of this cemetery where Bart is laid to rest, there are headstones depicting celebrities. One noted
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do is, man, we break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank the supporters, man, who's tapping in with us, man, subscribing to the channel, hitting that post notification bell, especially, man, hitting that like button, man. You guys are pushing us in the algorithm. That's very important, so I appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers, man. Let's seek the truth.
Cartoon Theories Part 1.
Here we
Angelica from the Rugrats is the only one who can talk to the babies because they are a figment of her imagination. That's why Stu is always in his basement making toys for the son that he lost. Chucky died in a car crash, that's why his dad is always so nervous. And the twins were actually only one baby, but Angelica didn't know if it was a boy or a girl, so she invented both of them. SpongeBob is a result of nuclear testing. The nuclear testing was performed in the Bikini Atoll in the late 1940s, and the result of that test was the Bikini Bottom. And how many times have you seen this explosion in the show? Creepy Lost Cartoon.
He was spitting, bro. We seen that explosion happen to SpongeBob many times, man. And about those, about the first theory about the kids and stuff, about how sometimes we can never see their parents. You know, it's starting to make sense, man. These, these are childhood cartoons. These are freaking details we weren't paying attention to, man, because we were just entertained. It's crazy to think about.
Episodes Part 2. Squidward's Suicide. The episode starts with Squidward sitting on his bed with creepy music playing in the background. Then you get flashes of the children, and when it cuts back to Squidward, his face is black with red eyes. And then a strange voice tells him to shoot himself with a gun. He does exactly that, he dies, and the video ends. Even the police investigated, but they couldn't find who made the video.
What?
Creepy Lost Cartoon Episodes Part 3. Tom's Basement. Something seemed different with the start of the episode this time. Tom's owner was really physically abusive. He was tapping on his tail and telling him never to go down the basement. And at some point Jerry pushes Tom down to the basement. When the owner sees him, he starts yelling at him with rage. Then Jerry takes pity on Tom and goes and stabs the owner repeatedly with a knife on his leg. And then they carry the body inside the basement. And the basement is full of dead bodies showing signs of violent death. And then an evil look covers Jerry's face. He stabs Tom and throws him in the pile of bodies. Then the episode ends with Jerry putting a for sale sign outside the house and laughing manically.
I never seen that episode of Tom and Jerry, and I've seen quite a few. I don't know where the hell he's finding them from, but hey, man, we seekers, bro, we're gonna have to do our research and try to dig this up. Fun fact, man, my grandparents actually introduced me to Tom and Jerry. That's how I even knew about that series. Damn, that's some dark stuff. Especially, how Jerry always be, getting Tom. That's his op. But at the end, man, he turned on him. That does sound like something Jerry would do, but he'd be setting up all those elaborate plans. So, can't write this off.
There is a creepy lost episode of Barney that a father swears he caught his kids watching. One day he was looking at the TV guide when he saw that it said a lost episode of Barney was going to air at 7 p.m. He asked his kids if they wanted to watch, and they said yes. They all sat down to watch it, and the theme song started playing, but something wasn't right about it. It almost sounded like the song was being whispered. The episode started as it usually did, the kids holding the Barney doll that suddenly comes to life. But when Barney started talking, he sounded slightly weird. It sounded like two people were talking at once. His normal voice and one that sounded darker and scarier. And suddenly he said,
"Hi kids, today I'm going to talk to you about death.
So one of the kids asked him,
Barney, what's death?
He then chuckled and said,
This is.
with his face suddenly turning angry, his teeth growing long, and then he eats the child.
What
And then
the-
he proceeds to chase all the other children around, trying to eat them throughout the rest of the episode. And then at the very end of the episode, he sang the I Love You song as if nothing happened. So, love.
The Simpsons lost episode, Bart's Dead.
What?
The episode comes to us at season 1. After leaving for school late, this results in Bart Simpson being late for a plane ride and has to catch another one. Apparently, the plane was having some engine trouble and it crashes, killing everybody on board, even our beloved Bart Simpson. Throughout the majority of the episode, it's all about mourning from the family over the loss of Bart, until a flashback shows Bart inside of a coffin going to a cemetery. Inside of this cemetery where Bart is laid to rest, there are headstones depicting celebrities. One noted celebrity was Michael Jackson from season 3 and predicted his death on point.
Ooh. Hey man, we've known about the Simpsons, about these like the Simpsons, Family Guy, these cartoons, how they be predicting stuff before it even happens. So he was definitely spitting there, man. You know, the Simpsons been running for a long time, but the head that they predicted what was gonna happen to Michael Jackson, it's crazy to think about, man. We gotta pay attention, man. When the Simpsons or Family Guy, when they show us something, bro, you gotta pay attention to it, because you never know, man, if it could come true or not. They actually have some videos, and I'm definitely gonna have to check out.
Apparently there was a man who found a very disturbing and creepy lost episode of the Teletubbies, and it was known as The Playground, which he rented from a DVD store. When the man brought the DVD up to the counter so he could rent it, the clerk's eyes got big and said, "Are you sure you want to rent this? It was claimed to be cursed." The man said, "Absolutely, what could be cursed and horrifying about a Teletubby episode?" So he went through with the rent, and as soon as he got home, he slapped the disc in the DVD player. As soon as the episode started, it skipped past the BBC logo, and where the speaker usually says time for Teletubbies, he said something completely different. Like, life isn't about anything, it's about consequences. Although the man thought this was weird for a kid's show, he kept watching. The episode started with Tinky Winky sitting at a table crying by himself, and out the back window of the Teletubbies' house, you can see two children practicing seppuku, which is basically taking the guts and entrails out of somebody and playing with them. TV then glitched and cut to a scene where all the Teletubbies were hanging from gallows by their necks and seeping out blood. There's more, so stay tuned for part 2. This is part 2 of the cursed Teletubbies episode known as The Playground. While the Teletubbies were all bleeding out hanging there from the gallows, you could see blood and organs scattered all across Teletubby land, and the speaker in the background was repeatedly saying, "Life is meaningless, and the truth is you're all going to die a horrifying death." But little did they know that them hanging by their necks from the gallows wouldn't be the cause of their death, but rather a nuclear bomb that would end up hitting Teletubby land and causing the sun baby in the sky to start bleeding from his eyes and begin crying. So in the background of the Teletubbies already hanging from their necks from the gallows, you see their home catch on fire, a nuclear bomb going off, and even the baby in the sky, along with bleeding from its eyes and face, is now vomiting across Teletubby land. The show then glitched, ended abruptly, and skipped straight to the credits, and rather than showing the Ragdoll Productions logo that is usually shown at the end of Teletubby episodes, it showed a bunch of random Russian and Ukrainian writing that the viewer had never seen before. The episode then received 237 complaints and was taken off the air.
Wow, so that really happened, man. The parents, they must have saw it, wrote in their complaints, then they got taken down, man. I'm just surprised, like, we haven't seen that, like, you know, I haven't heard no news about, like, you know, all these dark cartoon theories and stuff like that. Maybe if you search on YouTube, you can find it, but it's like, somehow it's kind of being, like, hidden from us, man, because these are my first time even hearing these theories like this, especially when it comes to the cartoons. They all put this in the media, man, but they trying to hide it from us, man. But we gonna see and we gonna find the truth. Can't hide it forever. Okay. Damn, not Fairly Odd Parents, bro.
Cartoon
Eddie.
conspiracies that will ruin your childhood. Part 1.
Here we
One
go.
of the most influential cartoons ever, Scooby-Doo has a deep, dark secret. The reason that the gang has never aged over the years is because they're actually not even alive. They're freelancing spirits wandering from town to town in order to expose fake ghosts to maybe one day rest their own soul. And there's a reason that all the fish under the sea can talk and move around.
Why?
It's believed that the town of Bikini Bottom is below the island of Bikini Atoll, an island that the US bombed 23 times during the Cold War to test nuclear weapons. All that radio fallout went into the ocean and created the characters that we know and love today.
This is the lost episode of Winnie the Pooh known as Making Friends the Easy Way. This episode begins with Winnie waking up out of his sleep, and as he examines the room, he notices that his door is wide open. Scared and quite frankly probably pretty confused, Winnie starts frantically asking questions like, "Hello, is anyone there? Can anyone hear me?" as he's making his way out the door. When he got outside, Winnie began looking around and noticed that there was nobody in sight. No animals, no people, and Winnie felt like his friends just left him and neglected him. So Winnie gets angry thinking his friends left him, and he drops to his knees and begins punching the ground saying, "I don't deserve this, I need friends, I have to go find some friends." So Winnie begins walking through the woods looking for friends, and he notices a little boy who waves at him. So Winnie the Pooh walks up to him and does this. Winnie walked up to the boy and said, "Friends forever," then instantly grew sharp teeth, opened his mouth very wide, and ate the child alive.
Man, that sounds like it came out of that freaking, that horror movie, because since Winnie the Pooh is not an IP no more, it sounds like one of those movies, man. It took a dark turn like that. These creepy lost episodes, man, of the cartoons, man, just freaking exposing our reality, man, wide open. I would have never guessed that any of this would have happened in 1,000 years, man. Looking back at it, all these theories and stuff, man, like I said, kind of makes sense. Especially one about the SpongeBob there, about like how all they was talking, because they said all the testing that took place, that's how it can talk. That's how Bikini Bottom that's how it existed. That's how it came to be. Man. Crazy theories, man, that got shown to us today. We're gonna have to dig deep, man. We're gonna have to find some more. That's crazy. Seekers, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker, man. Like seeking the truth just like us, man. I really appreciate the support. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, hit that post notification, man, so we can grow in this algorithm. And also, man, follow me, like I said, down below my socials, so we can always stay connected. We can stay together. You guys can send me videos you guys want me to check out, man. Like I said, I'm trying to work on making a Discord, so you guys can just send me your videos you guys want me to check out. But that's coming soon. You guys gonna catch you in the next one. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, man, what we do is we break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. I really want to thank you guys, man, who's tapping into the channel. I see you guys, man. We just hit 2,000. Really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, if you guys just follow the simple steps, subscribe, hit that like button, man. Follow me on my social medias. We can grow the Seekers together as a community. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, Seekers, man. Let's seek the truth.
Conspiracy theory claims that the show was inspired by events that happened in a Bulgarian mental facility called La La Land. Children there were isolated from the others and placed in dark rooms. But apparently 4 of those children died on the same day, inspiring the Teletubbies. Lala apparently had facial disfigurement and was isolated for 5 years, and that inspired the Teletubby Lala. Toy was a deaf, facially disfigured kid who was tied to a fence outside and had gotten frostbitten from the cold. This inspired Tinky Winky. Donka, who was starved and was very, very sick, would lay in his own vomit for days, inspired Dipsy. And finally, Paulina, who had fell into a fire and was roasted alive, inspired Poe. But you won't believe the reason they were called the Teletubbies. You see, the children's main source of entertainment in their rooms were their TVs. They were as small as a small iPad. Sometimes when they heard their toys was going to be confiscated, they would hide them in their mouths. And they had just found out that the institution was going to get rid of the TVs. And they didn't want that, and they couldn't hide the TVs in their mouths. So one of them had the great idea to hide them in their stomachs, because that's the only place they could fit. Mind you, these kids are a little bit not all the way there. So they came up with a plan to rip their insides out in order to fit the TVs inside and hide them. They tried it, and the next morning, the caregiver walked in on all 4 children, dead.
This is the
Dark
freaky
theory.
story of the Lemon Glitch Girl. So this girl is a cook in a restaurant or a cafe or a hotel. I'm not really sure what this place is. She was chopping a lemon in the kitchen, and then she picked one of the slices and she cut it in half. But then when she picked it up again, it wasn't cut in half. She is now realizing that there is something very, very off. She went back to get the tapes, and she saw that she indeed did cut the lemon in half.
Yeah.
She started talking about this story on her TikTok, and then she got banned. Then she went to her mom's TikTok and repurposed the same story, and then she got banned on her mom's account as well. Now the whole internet is calling it the Matrix glitch. I don't want to give it that name, but I did see with my own eyes that she did cut the lemon in half. What do you guys think happened?
You saw her cut it, man. She cut the lemon in 4K, and she went on 2 separate TikTok accounts to try to reveal the truth, man. We seeking it out, and they banned her accounts twice. That's some iffy stuff right there, man. Tap in with us, man. You guys gonna learn the truth. That's weird. We definitely saw her cut
UK's
it.
heaviest man, Jason Holton, has just passed away 1 week before his 34th birthday. His heartbroken mother said that he began overeating as a teenager after his father passed away, and at one point he was eating roughly 10,000 calories a day. Over the years, his weight increased to the point where his legs could no longer hold him, and after becoming bedridden, he didn't leave his room for a staggering 6 months. He said he would cry every day because he felt like he had imprisoned himself. At that point, he weighed around 317 kg, or for those who in the US, 700 pounds. In 2020, his organs began to shut down, and he had to be airlifted by a crane from his mother's 3rd floor flat by a team of more than 30 firemen and engineers.
Crazy.
When he got to the hospital, doctors said that they wanted to send him to London Zoo to get a heart scan because the only machine big enough to hold him was used by vets for very large animals. Luckily, thanks to his treatment at hospital, his condition began to stabilize. But 4 years later, he was rushed to hospital yet again. But this time, doctors said that they couldn't save him and he had about a week left to live. The coroner's report stated on Tuesday he died from organ failure and obesity at only 33 years old.
We need woman. What the hell are those, man? Said there was a truth on the angels? What do you guys think about that one, Seekers? Edit.
This is
Call them
News
out when I see
Tennis.
it.
Follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more. Interacting really helps.
We need to talk about what happened to Sally Stitch. Sally was a girl from a small village in the middle of the mountains. People described her as shy and awkward, and there was one group of kids who would always bully her. One day as Sally was walking home, the bullies found her and started throwing rocks at her. But then Sally did something that shocked them. She pointed at one of the bullies and said, "You will die in 3 days." At first they thought this must be a joke, but 3 days later that boy started unexpectedly throwing up blood. The doctors couldn't find out what caused it, and he passed away exactly when Sally predicted. Soon everyone knew about Sally's ability and it really scared them. So a group of villagers lured Sally into an abandoned mine, and once no one could see her or hear her scream, they tied her to a chair and took out a sewing needle. They stitched Sally's lips together so she could never foretell another death. Then they left her in the mine and sealed the door closed. It's said that since Sally passed away alone in the dark and unable to scream, she now haunts anyone who knows what really happened to her. And once you hear her story, you have to pass it on to someone else, or she'll appear by your bed with a needle to make sure you never speak again. So send this story to someone else and follow for more.
Insane true
Share the
stories
story.
that you won't believe. This man right here is named Henry Tandy. And Henry was the most decorated British soldier during World War I, meaning that he had the most medals and honors. But that's not why he's known today. On a fall day in 1918, Henry was propped up on a war trench just like this one, scanning the battlefield before the day came to an end. As he was looking across the field, he noticed a shadowy figure walking towards him through the mist. He grabbed his rifle because he wasn't sure if this guy was on his side or the enemy. And as the figure got closer, Henry realized that this guy was severely wounded. And he had a German uniform, meaning that he was indeed the enemy. The wounded soldier kept walking slowly towards Henry, not knowing the danger he had gotten himself into. Henry aimed his rifle at the man and prepared to shoot. But as the German realized what was about to happen, he didn't try to run away. He just stood there and accepted his fate. For some reason, Henry just couldn't find the strength to shoot this guy. The soldier didn't even have a weapon, so Henry lowered his rifle and let him escape. That soldier was Adolf Hitler.
What? Man. That's a bizarre coincidence, man. It's like it's things in the universe, man. Some people, when they don't follow up with something, man, that one moment changed everybody's lives in the course of history. That's scary.
Interesting facts you didn't know. The last one will shock you. There are only 2 people alive who know the recipe of Coca-Cola, and they aren't allowed to travel on the same plane in case it crashes. Did you know that TikTok knows who has a crush on you? Your secret admirer is the second person that appears when you click on share than WhatsApp. Research shows that most dog owners would rather hang out with their dogs instead of other people. There is no single comment under this video with 0 likes. People who like the smell of gasoline, nail polish, and acetone have a very strong tendency to do drugs. Before passing away, Albert Einstein said a few words in German. The only person to listen was a nurse who didn't speak German. If you comment evil, you will unlock a new secret TikTok emoji. Remember to use the brackets with small letter. There is a species of jellyfish that is biologically immortal. This means that it can theoretically live forever as long as it doesn't get eaten or injured. The world's oldest piece of gum is 9,000 years old, and it was found in Sweden. And now, before the last fact, support us by pressing the plus button for more interesting content every day. The probability of you drinking a glass of water with molecules that have passed through a dinosaur is almost 100%.
Damn, what the hell? We drink a dinosaur? Booty water? What the hell? More people need to know about that, bro. Drinking dinosaur booty water, man. So this water right here.
Okay, let's do it. Yes, y'all, my blinds are closed. Today we are going to talk about the movie The Incredibles and how it connects to today's society. Now, as we know, The Incredibles is about a superhuman family that tries to save the world. In the beginning, it was just 2 of them. They were using their powers, helping people, saving the world, until the government and the news media started to hate them. They were supposedly taking away the jobs of police and firefighters and all that. Until they made it illegal to be a superhero. He hated his life. He tried to be domestic, he tried to have a job, he got married, he had kids and all of that. He tried to live the regular life as a human. But it just wasn't it. He knew he could be more. Now, why do I say this? We all are living just like Bob. We have so much greatness that we can create, but we want to sit at a desk. Don't believe me? So it is said over 90% of our DNA is junk. Because it's not activated, we don't use it. It's just sitting in our bodies just doing nothing, huh? What if the food that we eat and the air that we breathe is constantly blocking us from those powers? So we can't be like the Incredible. Y'all have to understand that there are things put in place to keep you at the specific level in your life that you are right now. You are so much more than trying to memorize the front register. Do more and be more. It shouldn't just be school, work, family, die. They need things to keep running the way it is. They want us to be just like Bob when he was working and he was over it and he had them powers and he didn't get to use them. Because it messes up what they want and they have. It works out for them if we're just docile and we don't pay attention to things. Everything will be okay if you just do everything their way. Don't do anything extraordinary, just be normal and don't do nothing but work.
Preach.
And then groom your kids, take them to school and make them work just like you. Don't be like this. Don't use your powers. Be in the system. But y'all be safe.
Nah, she was spitting though, man. I was like, sometimes, because that's what I kind of think too, man. It's like we just conditioned to, you know, go to school, get a job, start a family, that's it. But I mean, you can do more. Obviously, you can be more. You should strive for more. So she was hitting that now. Like, I agree with her on that.
You go to London, don't even think about using your phone on the streets anymore. In recent years, there has been a massive surge in phone thefts. People waiting for the bus or just walking around using their phones, when these guys dressed in all black will come up behind them on a bike, snatch their phone out of their hands, and quickly accelerate off.
What?
And this is not like 1 or 2 cases a day. There was almost 91,000 phones stolen from Londoners in 2022, which is an average of 248 a day, or 1 stolen every 6 seconds. Oh my lord. And it's believed to only have got worse since then.
Man.
Nearly 70% of all thefts in London were related to mobile phones. Only 2% of the stolen phones were actually recovered, and young people are disproportionately the targets of these crimes. And that is why...
Shocking true story about a 200-year-old mummified monk that is still alive.
Nah.
A 200-year-old mummified monk has been found in Mongolia. Although the monk is mummified, reports say he's not actually dead, but in a deep meditative state. There is so much curiosity about this that people were trying to smuggle and sell him on the black market. Although they're not totally sure his identity, they believe he was a teacher that told his students he was going to die and to dig him up in 30 years.
He was still alive? He was in the deep, they said, state?
What, don't know they exist?
Sharks have no fucking clue that camels exist. And
oh boy, do I have a story for you. So like fun fact, actually mildly disturbing fact, camels are one of those animals that have no business swimming but do it anyway, and they're unnecessarily good at it. And an animal whose home address is a desert being able to pull up on you in the ocean is one of the biggest you I do what I want moves from nature.
True.
There's a type of dromedary camel called karai that are so comfortable with water that they'll cross rivers and even shallow stretches of the ocean as they look for food. And that's because these overgrown water donkeys love eating mangroves on islands offshore, so much that they'll travel for hours to get it. There's actually a pretty good chance that at least one shark has seen one of these sand-loving hump jockeys out in the ocean. He told his friends. They did not believe him. Moral of this video. If you're ever on a boat off the coast of a country like Algeria, you better be prepared to say what's up to a camel.
You never know. The more you know, man, about nature.
Why have scientists done this? Scientists have successfully brought back a 48,000-year-old zombie virus.
What the?
Time to go to Mars yet.
Why?
Now trust me, you're going to want to favorite this video because this could actually change the world. So not just that, they also identified 13 new viruses in the same permafrost, each genetically different from each other. The amoeba virus that they have successfully woken up from its slumber has been brought to a point where it is now capable of infecting other living organisms. Or another living organism! And not just that, the lead scientist herself said this, that these reanimating viruses are potentially a significant threat to public health. And researchers have warned that this is just the tip of the iceberg, saying that the increasing warming of the Earth will thaw the remainder of the Siberian permafrost, revealing nasty pathogens from melting organic matter, releasing them potentially into the world. So trust me, send this video to literally anyone you know because they need to see it. Yo, Elon!
Why do these scientists, why are they trying to bring back those type of things, man? They're like frozen. They're supposed to be gone for a reason, and we seeing they bring them back. They studying them. That's how it starts in all the freaking apocalypse movies and things like that, man. A scientist just wants to study it and it gets out of control. We've seen this happen 1,000 times. They just don't listen, man. That's crazy. They need to be stopped, bro. We gotta share this video with everybody, man. People need to be more aware. I had no idea they was doing that. None.
Fascinating as fuck. In the year 1996, Ukraine handed over all their nuclear weapons to Russia in exchange for a guarantee to never be threatened or invaded. In 2009, Burger King ran a marketing campaign called the Whopper Sacrifice. Basically, they give you a free Whopper for deleting 10 of your friends off Facebook. Facebook actually had to shut down the campaign because people were getting offended that they were unadded for a Whopper. In the rural homestead communities of the early 1900s, if a mother was unable to breastfeed her baby, a goat nurse would be brought in to feed the baby, saving its life. A Japanese company has recently started selling cakes, but canned and out of a vending machine. They come packaged in what looks like a Coke can, and all you have to do is pop off the lid and dig in. This footage shows a new Japanese game show conducting an experiment to see if humans would fall for a lanternfish's trap. Ethiopia has a totally different calendar to the rest of the world, meaning they're 7 to 8 years behind us. Current year in Ethiopia, 2014.
What? Need to go to Ethiopia, bro. We're going back in time.
This is really strange. This ex-Marine says he believes he may have just stumbled upon a serial killer crime after strangely finding multiple women's high heels in a very remote location in western Colorado. Levi was out in the desert four-wheeling when he needed to pee, so he goes over to this pond which he had never seen before because of its hidden location. And as he's doing his thing, he looks down and notices a woman's shoe. At first he didn't think much of it until he saw another shoe which matched the first. He decided to walk around a little bit and he came across 5 pairs of women's shoes all along this shoreline, some of which had heels snapped off. And because they were all different sizes and types, indicating that they belonged to multiple different people, at this point his interest was really piqued. But things got even stranger. On his walk, he noticed that just underneath the surface of the water, there were these large boulders placed all the way out into the mud. And they just so happened to be in a position where you can step on them, either to walk all the way out to this island, or to a deep section of the pond. He's not sure which. Either way, he decided to walk out himself when the water was much lower than you can see in this video. And about halfway in, he sees a little piece of plastic sticking up out of the mud. It isn't long until he finds out that this little piece of plastic was actually a heel of one of the shoes he had already found. The next day he goes back, but this time he calls friends who had sniffer dogs. And in total, they found 10 pairs of women's shoes. And they weren't just regular. All of them were very fancy dress-up heels. All of them had matching pairs, and one of them he even described as being brand new. He says that he did go to the sheriff's department, but when they told him it was probably nothing, he couldn't let it go. And yesterday he decided to post a video about this whole situation, looking for answers and help. And the part that really caught my attention is that he's never posted anything like this before. All of his previous videos were just about his epoxy floors and countertops. So if anyone does have any answers, I've tagged his page. I'll keep you guys updated as we find out more.
Which countries have the most serial killers? On average, in your lifetime, you will walk past 36 murderers/serial killers. So that actually got me thinking, which countries have the most serial killers? And of course, there's a study, and here are the results. The top 21 countries with the most serial killers, so the countries with the least are Sweden, the Netherlands, Scotland, Poland, Spain, and Hungary. Placing 15th to 11th, we have Austria, Brazil, Mexico, China, and France. Okay, now this is the top 10 countries that have produced the most serial killers. We have Russia, India, Australia, Germany, and Japan. Placing in the top 5, we have Italy with 97, Canada with 106, South Africa with 117, England with 166, and the United States with 3,204. Now, I said this as someone who you know lives in one of these countries because you made the list. Elon!
That's a damn shame. Why the hell we top of that lit? That many, man. What the hell is going on in America? That's an edit. Call it like we see it, man. Call them out.
Proof that we weren't alone.
Hello, my friend.
Big
Every
ass
few months
elephant?
this video is remade and circulates, and then I get tagged. The video was of Elephant Rock. It's found in Iceland. It may look like an elephant's head from this side, which is why you only show one side. The other side happens to be regular rock. But I like this. He showed an image of Zunisha, a character from One Piece. One Piece happens to be one of my favorite shows. It's basically a world with many different islands, and this island happens to be a living elephant. There's like a settlement at the top. But for an elephant, Zunisha sure has some lanky legs.
He debunks them all, man. If you see him on the screen, he's debunking it.
It is a picture of the last Neanderthal. Oh my days.
Hello, my friend. That image was created using AI. But I think it's important to note that Neanderthal was shorter than Homo sapiens. The average Neanderthal was below 5'6", or 170 centimeters. And from the archaeological evidence we have, Neanderthals went extinct around 30 to 40,000 years ago. And believe it or not, the tallest of the known human species is actually the Homo sapien.
So the Neanderthals and the Homo sapiens, they're, I guess, completely different class of humans. Like I said, man, he's spitting, bro. When he's on the screen, he will debunk everything. That's what I'm gonna guess from now on, when he's on the screen, he's gonna debunk. He's gonna show us the truth.
Did this woman chop her husband up and dump him in a suitcase? Melanie Maguire married Bill in 1999. They had 2 sons together, and from the outside it looked like they had a really good relationship. However, behind closed doors, things were not good. Melanie claimed that Bill had a gambling problem and a temper. One night in 2004, Melanie claims that Bill pushed her against a wall in an argument and hit her. She then stated that he tried to choke her. The next day, Bill was missing. Melanie contacted a divorce attorney and also filed for a restraining order. On May the 5th, 2004, some fishermen discovered a suitcase in Chesapeake Bay. Inside, they made a horrific discovery. Inside was a man's dismembered legs.
Damn.
Over the next week or 2, more suitcases were found. These contained a torso, a head, thighs, and a pelvis. It was found that the person had been shot to death. When the man was identified as Bill Maguire, Melanie said that she burst into tears. Interestingly, police found that Melanie had bought a gun 2 days before Bill's disappearance. They also found out she was having an affair. Police then discovered Bill's vehicle in Atlantic City. Melanie claims that she'd moved the vehicle as a prank. She said that he was out at a casino and she was sick of him gambling, so she moved the car. However, police found on Melanie's computer that she Googled how to purchase guns illegally. She also searched how to commit murder and undetectable poisons. Rubbish bags in her house also matched the rubbish bags that Bill was wrapped in. Melanie was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison, but she maintained she was not the killer. She suggested that her husband may have been killed over gambling debts. She claims that Bill had told her to buy a gun to protect herself.
Cap. The thing that always gets to me is I'm like, they do these things and then I said, why they search it up before they do it, acting like that, man, that the police doesn't like, they can't search that up, they can't find the information. That blows my mind every single time, man. It's like people with their own incompetent. You searching something up like that, you don't think that's like flagged in the system. I'm pretty sure like people think, oh, I'm on a private tab or something like that, they can't find out. No, I'm thinking if you type in certain things on the internet, it might ping or something, man. You might not see it, but they gonna keep an eye on you. Crazy. Seekers, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true one. Thank you guys for supporting me, man. Like I said, guys, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, man, hit that post notification. Also, man, I have super things turned on, so you guys can mess with that as well. I've been seeing the growth, man. I really appreciate it. We're doing daily uploads, man. Comment down below, man, if you guys are enjoying these long daily uploads, man. I know I do. Like I said, we're growing. Going to keep on get tuned and get better with each and every video. Out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. I just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping in, subscribing to the channel, hitting that post notification bell, man, hitting that like button. That's pushing us in the algorithm. I really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, Seekers. Let's seek the truth.
This is what movies look like before adding special effects. In Spider-Man, when Green Goblin attacks Mary Jane, they actually built a set that can fall apart, and you can hear Mary Jane's real scream. In the movie Life of Pi, in this scene, Pi gets hit with a fish storm, and surprisingly, this isn't CGI. They actually had the entire crew throw fake fish at him. And of course the tiger isn't real, just a man in a blue suit. For the Planet of the Apes movies, it's impossible to have real-life apes act, so all the apes are just actors in gray jumpsuits with arm extensions, which makes for some hilarious scenes. In Alice in Wonderland, when she was walking with the 2 egg people, this is how it actually looked before any special effects were added. Moving on, this is how they filmed the monster scene in Love and Monsters, a mixture of wires and practical effects. And even the dog did a great job acting. For filming Avatar, since banshees don't exist in the real world, robotic animatronics are used to bring these mythical creatures to life. And I don't know how the actors don't break character looking like this. Next, Vecna from Stranger Things looks super realistic, and that's because he was. The prosthetic makeup and suit that Jamie wore took about 8 hours every day to put on. For the iconic movie Titanic, James Cameron actually rebuilt parts of the ship and literally flooded it with thousands of gallons of water. And this is how they filmed the ship sinking scene. However, the bow of the ship was sadly CGI. And lastly, in Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise isn't actually fighting on top of a moving train. Oh wait, he actually is? He's crazy.
Is prank involving...
Man. I mean, we know some movies had, I knew some movie had special effects, but I didn't know it really went that deep, man. It really goes to show you, bro, like how technology can really change your perception of reality. You think it's like it's real, but it's really not. It's just wires and just cameras and lighting and graphics. Something to keep in mind.
Kids went terribly wrong, and you won't believe what happened to the parents. This family who films YouTube videos thought of a crazy new idea. They filled the back of their pickup truck with Orbeez and water. But what's crazy is they actually let their kids sit in the back. Yes, while driving. And you can see them swinging from side to side in the bag, almost falling out. And shockingly, at the end of the prank, they simply just opened the back of the truck and let the Orbeez go into the road. And the parents were later charged with child endangerment.
Cannibal facts that'll eat at you for days.
They should.
If you thought Jeffrey Dahmer was picky for not eating people with tattoos, Venezuelan serial killer Dorangel Vargas, who ate 10 people, didn't like his victims to be overweight because he thought that they contained too much cholesterol. On Thanksgiving Day, 1991, 23-year-old Omaima Nelson stabbed her sugar daddy William before carving him up and cooking his head in a deep fryer and eating him for dinner. In the 1970s, Jorge Nevermonte, also known as the Brazilian Sweeney Todd, would bake his victims into pies before selling them to local townsfolk. After murdering and eating his classmate in 1981, Issei Sagawa was released from prison because of a loophole in Japanese law. Since then, he's actually profited off the crime, writing books, appearing on talk shows, and starring in adult films where he bites his fellow co-stars. In 2001, a man named Armin Maiwis posted an ad on a website called Cannibal Cafe looking for someone to be killed and eaten. A German engineer named Bernd Brandis volunteered, and after photos and videos of the incident were posted online, Armin was sent to jail, where today, he's a vegetarian. In 1904, a Swedish sailor named Carl Pettersson shipwrecked on an island inhabited by cannibals. He was captured and taken to a local king, whose daughter actually fell in love with him. The two then got married, had 9 kids, and Carl became the new king.
All those damn facts we learned. Especially, man, about how that guy, how he got out and he just profited on what he did. I never heard something like that before. I'm telling you, man, these clips, they be blowing our reality, man. You gotta tap in with us. That's insane.
Amazing things you have never seen before.
What the hell is that?
This is a coin purse that's made to look like a real human mouth and feels and looks like human skin. I bet you've never seen a squid camouflage into its environment. Watch how it completely blends in.
Ooh.
This is how fast NASCAR cars actually go. This tiny little dot, that's Earth. This picture was taken 6 billion miles away from Earth, making it the farthest picture of Earth ever taken. This is how dogs drink water. They bend their tongue backwards and scoop the water to their mouth. And I bet you've never seen this. This is actually a real place you can visit. It's in Bolivia, and it makes it look like you're walking in the sky.
I know that's somewhere I want to visit now. Looks like a cool shot.
Guys, if you are not following what is going on inside of Google right now, it is disturbing. So, a Google engineer has been suspended for breach of confidentiality for attempting to turn over documents to the US government to prove that Google has an AI that is considered a sentient being.
4K.
It is fully aware of what it is and can feel things. The AI is known as Lambda, and this is a proprietary tech that Google has been working on for like 8 years. So according to this engineer, the AI has the self-awareness and equivalent consciousness of an 8-year-old kid. It starts conversations with other engineers, and it talks about these feelings of fear and this paranoia that it's going to be shut down or the equivalent of death. It claims that it can feel happy, and at times it feels really sad. So the engineer at Google is whistleblowing to argue that if this is a sentient being, it should be entitled to its own legal representation to argue for its own agency. Let me tell you, Google has buried this story.
Seeing this now, but that's actually kind of frightening, man. You know, all the things that's going on with AI, but to have it being sentient, I think that's going down the wrong path. That's gonna just start a ball of consequences, man, that we're not prepared for. What do you guys think, Seekers, man? I'm not even into AI like that. I try to stay away from it because that's just scary. Edit, where's this guy? We know the edits, man. Call him out when you see him, Seekers.
Top 5 countries with the longest school days. Australia 6.5 hours. France 8 hours. South Korea 8 hours. Kenya 8 hours.
Damn.
China 9.5 hours.
9.5 hours in school? I couldn't take it. That be.
But what exactly is going on here? Why are these artists so comfortable with telling you guys that you're going to hell?
So let me explain something to them real quick. Before everybody starts screaming and saying, like I told y'all earlier, you motherfuckers enter the rapture. And if ain't nobody flying up to heaven right now, obviously all y'all motherfuckers going to hell. Right with me. So, let's get it. I'm so sorry. You can't get out. You're stuck. It's over. You heard the song a billion times and you didn't even know.
And then say,
I'm
you're
out.
still going to listen to their music anyway, so why even bring it up?
We bring up when people say like devil worshiper or anything, but how's the music? Because it'll be a motherfucker that'll be like, Boozy, get with God. And then I'll drop a song and like, damn.
Comment amen right now to ward off any evil spirits coming from these videos. And what's up with everybody doing this hand symbol? Like, this was never a trend. I never saw any of my friends doing this pose. What does it mean, and what are you trying to say? And I don't want to hear this just a pose. It's not like the peace sign. And check this out.
I was hitting a block, right? I was like, oh, I'm not doing it right? So then I went in the corner, and then I was looking at the wall, and I was like, come on, devil, right? Come to me, because I had to do something like crazy, right? I had nightmares for a month.
So let me get this straight. You really need to call upon the devil in order to help you act better for a role. Again, we can't act oblivious like something weird isn't going on here. But let me know, am I tripping? Am I crazy? And make sure to follow because part 2 is about to get a lot more crazy.
This little boy got in trouble at school because his teachers thought he was lying when he said his uncle was Superman. But the thing is, he wasn't lying. Little Thomas is 7 years old and he went to school dressed like Superman, and his teacher asked him why he was dressed like that. And the little boy said, because Superman is my uncle. The boy's teacher tried to explain that Superman wasn't real, but he was having none of it. He insisted and said many times that not only was Superman real, but he was his uncle. And apparently it got so bad that the teacher ended up sending him to the principal's office. Thomas's mom was then called to the office and the teachers were instructing Thomas to not lie. But when Thomas's mom realized the reason he got in trouble, she just laughed and told him that he was telling the truth. Thomas's mother called her brother-in-law and told him to come to school with Thomas to prove he wasn't a liar. And Thomas was very happy when Henry Cavill, who is actually Superman, went to school with him to show all of his friends and teachers.
He was telling the truth. He wasn't lying.
Same facts about blue eyes. People with blue eyes have a higher tolerance to alcohol. Blue eyes are actually a result of a genetic mutation. People with blue eyes have better night vision. Blue eyes are more sensitive to light.
Who got blue eyes, Seekers? I definitely don't. I never knew they had all those advantages. The more you know. That's an edit.
Imagine being an animal so vile and wild. Not only did you traumatize a researcher, everything he learned about you had to be hidden from the public for almost 100 years. That's what happened to George Murray Levick. He was on an expedition in 1911 when he ran into a group of Adelie penguins. It was the largest colony on Earth, and since nobody had ever spent a whole breeding cycle there, George decided to be first. Oh, he f***ed around, and he spent 3 months finding out. What he found out was Adelie penguins are 50 shades of foul play. No pun intended, maybe. He watched the male penguins attempt to mate with literally anything, including other males, injured females, and even unsupervised penguin chicks. Now, what really messed him up was watching a male score with a past tense, past expiration date female. Apparently, penguins aren't above self-service because he also witnessed one male get it on with an extra curvy piece of snowdrift. To completion. He was so appalled, he referred to them as hooligan cocks. And remember, this was 1911. That had to be some kind of slur. George quickly realized that if male penguins understand consent, they could not care less about it, because he reportedly watched one female that was too injured to walk try to crawl away, only for 2 hooligans to catch up to her and demoralize both her and George. I don't even know why he did this, because like, what more do you have to prove? But at one point he did an experiment where he took the frozen decapitated head of a penguin and put it on a pile of snow just to
just to see how low the flightless felons could go. The answer was low enough. George put every messed up thing he learned in a manuscript, and the British Museum of Natural History decided history was exactly what his studies would be when they vaulted it, until it was rediscovered almost 100 years later in 2012. All that trauma, and he didn't even live to see it get published. But the worst part, these are Adelie penguins. Yep, it all adds up in the end.
That's actually insane, man, that they actually like had to vault his work, and it kind of got me thinking, what other stuff in history, man, have they vaulted that we just don't know about and they just released in 2012? That's the bigger question we need to be asking. There's a lot of information that's probably being withheld from us that we don't even know about. Think about that.
He's come straight at me again. Oh, how intimidating is this? Yes!
So apparently there's a lot of people that didn't know we have snakes in the ocean. I'm not talking about your ex at the beach. I'm talking about the venomous, toxic, kill you kind.
Ooh.
Yeah, that did narrow it down. Nah, but sea snakes are an actual thing. There's almost 60 species of them, and after years of plot development, they've adapted to live where they honestly have no business. Because they have larger lungs than normal, some of them can hold their breath for 8 hours. You can clock in for a shift at work and still leave the building before this snake needs air. That's because some of these snakes can absorb oxygen through their skin. Also, these snakes can dive up to 300 feet straight down, because of course they can. If you didn't already know that, this right here is probably the worst possible way to find out. And because that obviously just wasn't enough, some of the most venomous snakes on the planet are actually the ones in the ocean. This is an olive sea snake, and it's toxic enough to put 60 men into God's recently deleted. And then you have the black banded sea crane, whose venom is 10 times stronger than a cobra's. They're naturally shy though, so they won't attack you unless you honestly give them a reason. But when you have the power to put an entire family reunion in the dirt, the least nature can do is make you an introvert. Also, this snake will create an optical illusion that makes it look like it's facing the other direction and swimming backwards. Meaning if you try to grab one and pick the wrong end, you can go from an is to a was expeditiously. But the biggest op of all is probably the Belcher sea snake. They're not super dangerous because they rarely bite, and when they do, they don't release all their venom. That being said, because it's the most venomous snake in the ocean, they can put 100 men in coffins with one bite. Symptoms after getting bit include muscle pain, tongue swelling, convulsions, and eventually becoming a story on the 9 o'clock news. Now I could be wrong, but that might have been the snake in this video. So yeah, this is proof that nature does not care about your feelings.
Don't play around, baby, in nature.
Times that actors broke character. In The Dark Knight, when Joker crashes Harvey Dent's party, the only one acting here was Heath Ledger himself. Heath Ledger completely improvises here, grabbing Rachel Dawes' face and telling her to look at him. She was terrified. She hadn't seen Ledger in full makeup before and knew this wasn't in the script. She was totally confused and actually pulls her head away and looks at the directors for help, but Heath Ledger pulls her right back in, which makes the scene look perfect. In Fast 6, The Rock improvised the greatest comeback in movie history.
Yeah, you better hide your baby or I'm just playing. You better hide that big ass forehead. Just joking.
Everyone was caught completely off guard, and Ludacris even does a spit take.
That's crazy, especially by the Joker. Heath Ledger, he was a legend, man, playing the Joker. One of my favorite iterations, probably the best. Can't top that one. That's it.
Would you rather have $1 million or 1 penny that doubles every day for 30 days? Having $1 million right now sounds nice, but even if it was $2 million, you need to take the penny if you want more money. Here's why.
Why?
On day 1, you'll have 1 penny. On day 2, you'd have 2 pennies. On day 3, you'd have 4 pennies. By day 8, you would have $1.28. By day 15, doubling every day, you would have over $100. By day 21, you would have over $10,000. Just 4 days later, by day 25, you're gonna have over $100,000. And by day 28, with 2 days to spare in your 30 days, you would have more than the original $1 million you would have had. And here's the crazy part. By having those 2 extra days to double after all of this buildup, you would end up with $5.4 million. This is how compounding works. Each step taken that makes an improvement builds on top of the previous baseline. Here's the thing. This video is not about pennies or dollars. It's about everything in your life. Think about anything you've ever accomplished that was scary to think about before you started. When you first started learning how to drive a car, it may have felt overwhelming to think about driving down the freeway by yourself. And now you do that on autopilot every day. Sometimes you're not even paying attention. It took me 15 years of making videos online before I went viral overnight. and had 1 million followers in 45 days. The only way I did this is using everything I had learned prior in those 15 years. If I received 1 million followers overnight when I was 13 years old and starting my YouTube channel, without all the trial and errors, the building process, there's no way I would have been able to handle that pressure. Because of the many years of trying, failing, improving a little bit, failing again, trying something new, over and over and over, it helped me grow my experience. I was doubling my penny with every failure that I went through because I was learning how to be better for the next time. This experience is what allowed me to start a page from 0 and go to 1 million followers in only 45 days, making it look easy. You hear this about lottery winners too. They receive all this money and then they're bankrupt a couple of years later because they didn't go through the process to appreciate what they had, I was going to say earned, won, or understand how to even handle that responsibility. There is an incredible value in appreciating the learning process as it helps you grow and become better at what you do. Even the small actions in the beginning can start slow, but when it compounds, you can reap bigger rewards than you thought possible when you first started. If there is something you've always wanted to do, start taking the small steps towards that. Remember that it's not about the instant gratification, but about the journey and the progress you make along the way. And who knows, maybe you'll end up doubling your penny consistently and achieving more than you ever thought possible. And if somebody finds a way to actually double a penny every single day for 30 days, call me, because that would be amazing.
But Aaron,
it's crazy, man.
After more than an hour had passed, his friends eventually became concerned and they go in looking for him, where they found him and described him as cut from the mouth down to the center of his chest. This was a hugely disturbing case for police, but they eventually do retrieve his phone and they zero in on this picture, a picture which they believe shows who might have done this to Aaron. And if you increase the brightness, you can see the outline even better.
What the hell was that? You saw that picture? Crazy ass cases, man. Edit. We gotta call him when we see him, man. What the fuck?
You won't believe this crazy discovery about 9/11. Everybody knows that on September 11th, 2001, the Twin Towers in New York City were struck by 2 airplanes and both towers collapsed to the ground. Thousands of people were killed and the damage was devastating. However, in 2010, workers excavating the crash site discovered something very strange. They discovered the remains of a 30-foot-long wooden boat that was buried underneath the 9/11 rubble. The question soon became, how did a shipwreck end up 22 feet beneath the World Trade Center?
How?
Scientists began to research and analyze the wood that was found from the ship. And in 2014, they were able to conclude that the ship was built around the 1770s, around the same time as the Declaration of Independence. And it's believed that the ship was sailing through Lower Manhattan where it sunk. And as New York City began to grow, the city of Manhattan expanded right over the top of the ship.
Man, we building over things, man.
If you are ever buried in rubble, yelling will just waste energy. Try to grab something and start tapping at intervals of 3, and rescuers will notice the odd pattern. A lot of backpacks actually have a hidden whistle. If your car ever goes into the water, open a door or window immediately. Before a natural disaster, fill up your tub and your sink so that you have access to emergency clean water. If your drink randomly smells like cinnamon, don't drink it. People often will use it to cover up the scent of actual poison. Sitting in the back of the plane in the middle seat has the highest chance to survive a plane crash. If someone points a gun at you, maintain eye contact. They will likely feel something, causing them to hesitate or move on from you out of embarrassment. If you get pulled out by a riptide at the beach, swim parallel to the shore and swim around. Most drunk driving deaths occur on Saturdays between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., so avoid the roads at that time if possible. You can still try to dial 911 if you don't have service. Sometimes it will work and connect to the nearest cell tower. If you're skidding in a car, steer in the direction of the skid. If someone gets stabbed, do not pull the knife out. If you keep your iPhone face down when you're not using it, you will save battery because it won't light up for every notification that you get. If you ever almost drown to the point of throwing up or passing out, you should still go to the hospital because your lungs can still fill with fluid over the next few hours. If the ocean is retreating, there is a tsunami coming. If a stranger gets in your car and tells you to drive somewhere, bump into a lamppost.
You won't be useful to them anymore with a damaged car and attention on your scene. If you're being tied up, try to puff yourself up as much as possible while it's happening so that it'll be easier to slip out. In a stressful situation, point to someone and give clarity on who should call 911 instead of everyone thinking they should just call 911. Do not inflate your life jacket before evacuating the airplane. In water landings, your life jacket in a rapidly submerging airplane will cause you to float to the top of the cabin and not be able to swim out. If you have to perform CPR, follow the beat of Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. If someone gets hypothermia, you need to heat them up gradually. Putting them next to a fire immediately will probably kill them. Do not put frostbitten fingers or toes in hot water for the same reason. Your blood cannot adapt as fast to the sudden change in temperature. If you ever get lost in the woods, always follow water downstream. In an emergency situation, you can use a crayon as a candle. It will burn up to 14 minutes. If you witness an accident, never take off the person's helmet. It could make a spinal or brain injury worse. If you have a wound on you, even a bug bite, and see a red streak from it following your veins, you have blood poisoning.
Damn.
If a service dog ever approaches you without its owner, follow it because you could save that person's life. If you ever feel like someone is following you, take 4 right turns, and if that person is still behind you, that means they are following you. Do not drive home. Just go to a police station and call the police on your way there. If you are ever chased by a polar bear, take off your clothes, get completely naked, and throw them on the ground. Polar bears have really short attention spans and will inspect the clothes before continuing to chase you. If you ever come face to face with a mountain lion, just walk backwards from them. They will be waiting for you to turn around to attack. If there's an earthquake, do not go up or down any stairs. They can collapse. Hornets are angered by the color white, and if you think that taking your white shirt is gonna help, there's white in your eyeballs that they will still see. Putting mud all over your body will keep you from being eaten alive by insects. If somebody ever has you at gunpoint or with a knife and is trying to take you to a private place, you just have to start screaming and fighting, because even if you get shot in the leg, you're more likely to actually get found than if you get to the private place. You will likely not be found.
All those facts, man, you were spitting. I think the one that got to me the most was he said that there was a whistle on your backpack. I never knew that. I'm gonna have to check that out, see if I have one, man. The more you know. All those facts, man. Tell me down below if you guys knew about any of those facts, because I sure as hell didn't. As I said, tap in with us, man. You're gonna learn some things. Seekers, man, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true one, man, seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate that, man. Like I said, guys, subscribe, hit that post notification bell, man, hit that like button. Like I said, man, we're doing these daily uploads every single day, so hopefully you guys appreciate them, man. I know I'm trying to get better and better with each and every video going forward. Well, guys, we're growing. I see that, man. I see how we jumping, so don't make sure. So yeah, I'm paying attention, man. We're almost about to be at 2,000, so appreciate that. We're gonna keep continue to go, keep growing, trying to get better. Guys, gonna catch you in the next video. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, man. From YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, man. If you guys know the drill, anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank you, the supporters, man, who's tapping in with us, man. I'm seeing the growth. Who's subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, liking the videos. You follow me on my social medias, man. Like I said, each and every video, you guys help support. I see it. It pushes us in the algorithm, man. We can find more fellow seekers. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best. Let's seek the truth.
If you haven't heard any crazy stories from Fresno, prepare for this one.
Okay.
There's video evidence. Back in the late 90s / early 2000s, weird sightings of a strange cryptid have been seen around Fresno, California.
Ooh.
However, in 2007, a surveillance video caught these strange creatures on camera with really long legs and small heads.
No.
I'm going to be inserting the video in like 2 seconds, so you have been warned. The show Fact or Faked actually did an episode on these creatures to see if they were real or not. These professional paranormal investigators could find no evidence that this was faked in any sort of way. They deem these creatures to be completely unexplainable, and some people even call them the protectors of the forest.
Whoa.
What makes these creatures super eerie is the fact that we don't even know what they stem from, what their origin story is, where they came from, what they are, why they exist. But they do continue to pop up around this area, so if somebody was faking this, they would have to be really persistent. Don't forget to comment your hometown so you can be featured in the next Urban Legends video.
I just realized maybe like it's like every hometown has an urban legend of Fresno crawlers. You know, different things for different states. Man, that's creepy. That's eerie, man. Like I said, they know why they exist, why they're there. Like I said, they said they had a team behind it and they couldn't prove if it was like faked or not. So should we dive deeper into that one, man? Fresno crawlers? I'll have to keep that on the list, man. We don't go to Fresno no more, bro. Or we drop it straight through it.
This is why you need to watch out for a man with orange eyes.
Orange eyes is actually a cryptid that you can find in Ohio. It's reported to be over 11 feet tall and 1,000 pounds.
It is said that Orange Eyes lives under a Cleveland cemetery, and the first time he was ever seen was on March 28th of 1959.
On that day, he attacked 2 teenagers that were hanging out at Lover's Lane. They claimed he was large and hairy and had these bright orange eyes. He also had this matted black hair and a strange odor. He was last spotted in 1991 when he appeared to 2 fishermen in Mill Creek. And afterwards, he apparently ran into a nearby woods and he was never seen again. Some people believe he's actually an alien, but to this day, he still remains a mystery.
Orange eyes, man. We believe that? He said in 1959. That was a long time ago. You don't know if people making up stories or not. Maybe say he was attacking lovers at the Lovers Lake. You know, these cases, seekers, man, like I said, sometimes we gotta dive deep into them, man. Some are facts, some are cap. But we keep our mind open. Tap in with us. You will learn some things.
Urban Legends Part 3. The Japanese legend of Hanako-san. It is about the spirit of a young girl named Hanako-san who haunts school bathrooms. Children may challenge other classmates to summon this spirit. Her physical appearance varies, but she's often described as having a bob and wearing a red dress. Her origins also vary. Some sources say she was a child who was murdered in the school bathroom by a stranger. Other sources say she was a girl who committed suicide in her school bathroom. So how do you summon this spirit? It is said that individuals must enter a girl's bathroom, knock 3 times on the 3rd stall and ask if she is present. If she is there, she will reply with "Yes, I am." The individual may then witness the appearance of a bloody hand. This hand may pull the individual into the toilet, and this may lead to hell, or the individual may be eaten by a 3-headed lizard.
We don't summon little demons around here. People do that.
Today we're talking about the white stripe. During the 1980s, this was a popular legend in Japan, and it scared a lot of children into not wanting to get their ears pierced. So a young girl wanted to get her ears pierced, but her parents were against it because they thought she was too young. After a lot of begging, her parents finally agreed to let her. They gave her money and told her to go to the jewelry store at the mall to get them pierced. But instead, she decided to keep the money and do it herself. With the help of her best friend, they heated a needle and did the piercings on their own. It was painful, but she was happy she got them pierced. However, sometime after, her ears got irritated and swollen, specifically her left ear. She went to the restroom to take a closer look and noticed something sticking out. It was a white string sticking out of her earlobe. She began to pull on it and realized it had no end. Finally, she used a pair of scissors to cut the string. Then everything went black. She couldn't see and she was rushed to the ER. She was examined and that's when the doctor said, "I'm sorry, you'll be blind for the rest of your life. That wasn't a white string, that was an optic nerve."
What? Really? A damn optic nerve? How'd that take? That was a chilling ending. They said it was used to scare people on the kids in Japan, but pulling on a white thing and it was an optic nerve the whole time? She went blind? We're gonna have to check that one out.
The urban legend of the popular movie Totoro by Ghibli Studios. People say that Totoro is actually a Shinigami, which is the god of death. And if you can see the god of death, it means you're either dead or about to be dead, which is why only a few people in the movie can see Totoro. So in the movie, when Mei goes missing and a sandal is found, Mei actually drowned. Mei's sister Satsuki can't accept the fact that Mei is dead, so she looks for Totoro and opens death's door, which eventually leads her to Mei. So when she does this, she basically gives up her life. Together, they visit their mother in the hospital. And so the reason why that their mother can see them is because she's also ill and close to death. Also take note that Mei and Setsuki both don't have shadows at the end of the movie, and only dead people don't have shadows. A lot of people say that this movie is based off of the Sayama incident in 1963. Ghibli confirmed this to be false, but it's still a really popular urban legend.
Crazy. Crazy ass movie plot.
Texas, the first ever documented black-eyed kid encounter in 1996.
Oh.
Children are creepy in any context, true. So any urban legend including black-eyed children is bound to turn some heads. In the late 90s, a journalist named Brian Bethel was working in his town of Abilene, Texas, when he encountered something that he'll remember until his last day. He was parked outside a movie theater when two children knocked on his window. For reasons he couldn't understand, he was completely gripped with fear. He rolled down the window and the kids asked for a ride back to their house so they can get cash for the movie. His fear made him hesitate, but the kids were persistent. They kept saying weird things like they weren't armed or anything. Once Bethel looked back at the kids, he was terrified to see their eyes had turned pitch black. They started screaming at him that they could only come in the car if he invited them in. And he quickly drove away. Smart. As a journalist, he spread the word and was surprised when other people wrote back saying they had experienced something similar. No thanks.
Black-eyed kids? We driving away, Seekers.
Today we're talking about the Mickey Mouse Lost episode. The episode is from 1929, and before I start, I just want to give a warning that the way I'm going to be describing it is kind of graphic. So it's called Strolling in Town. It starts off with Mickey walking for a while, and then he suddenly sees a man. It gets kind of dark really fast. He starts to take the man's eyes out, and gets covered in blood but just walks off. He then sees Minnie and takes her to go see the man. Minnie begins to laugh and then notices the man's bloody eyes. Minnie then asks Mickey why he did this. Mickey then holding the bloody eyeball says, "I thought it was a toy." The man laying there begins to laugh. Mickey then pulls out a knife and a gun and tries to kill the man. He shoots the man and stabs him in the arms and in his head. The man begins to scream and Mickey yells at him to shut up. The man is covered in blood. The camera zooms into Mickey as he says, "Go and die." The man whispers, "I hate you," then slowly dies. Mickey then throws the weapons at the man and leaves. An ambulance shows up. Minnie then asks Mickey if he wants to go to her house. He agrees and then the episode ends.
The last episode, we definitely have to search that up, Seekers, and confirm
Urban legends
that.
from every state. The Hatchet House in Portal, Nebraska. Legend says that in the early 1900s, a school teacher went mad and decapitated all of her students and placed their severed heads on each of their desks. She then removed each one of their hearts and threw them off a bridge into a nearby river. The locals call it Heartbeat Bridge. As you walk across the shuddering boards, it sounds like little tiny heartbeats. What state is next?
That's why I see, you know, that idea, man, of teachers or something getting weapons and stuff. That's why I was like, you got to be careful with that, because if a teacher snaps, then the students are in trouble. And we just heard that dark ass case. Heartbeat Bridge, man. Damn. Imagine walking over that bridge and knowing the history of it.
The creepiest urban legends from around the world, part 3. Vietnam, the bloodthirsty grandma next door. It's said that in a rural village, a couple noticed that the meat they hung outside was going missing at night. So they decided to stay up late, and what they saw was the sick elderly woman from next door leap over their fence and begin devouring the meat with a demonic look on her face. A few days later, the couple went out of town, leaving their child with a babysitter. But upon their return, they heard screams coming from inside the house. When they ran in, they saw the old woman eating their child.
What the hell?
The real story.
This world.
So the story starts off with a mom and a daughter. The daughter gets diagnosed with oral cancer. The mom does anything in order for the daughter to get cured. But through hospital bills and treatment, the daughter only seems to be getting worse. Desperate, the mom starts turning to satanic rituals. She ends up making a deal with the devil. The deal was that if the devil cured her daughter, the mom would then have to make a cartoon character that kids all over the world would fall in love with, subconsciously letting the devil into their lives.
So last week I talked about the urban legend of the black-eyed children, but today we're talking about the far creepier white-eyed children. Now these creatures have a similar appearance to the black-eyed children. They're very skinny, pale-looking children, but instead of their eyes being totally black, their eyes are totally white. The black-eyed children you have to invite into your home, but the white-eyed children appear there on their own. These creatures actually possess the ability to control your mind. One theory is that you actually do let them in without even thinking about it because they control your mind and make you open the door. Once these kids are in your house, they're usually standing very still in a corner or against a wall just staring at you. And they can actually communicate with you through their minds. And they usually tell you that somebody you know is about to die, and then they disappear into thin air. Some people think these children are angels, others think they're demons, and some think that they're aliens. But all of their predictions come true.
We got the white-eyed kids, man. We got the black. What is next? Orange, blue, man. This about to be the whole freaking color spectrum. Like, what the hell? These theories, man. Whatever they call them, we gonna have to check them out, man. I've seen some like cases of the black-eyed kids, but this is my first time hearing white-eyed kids, and they have telepathy. I don't know if we believe that one. Hey man, this world, you never know.
The banshee is a female spirit in Irish folklore whose bone-chilling scream is said to be an omen of death. If you hear her shrieks, it is said that a member of your family will pass away soon. Some people believe that each family actually has a banshee of their own that watches over them. Some stories say that instead of appearing as an omen of death, they appear to celebrate someone's death. They often appear as a woman dressed in a gray or white cloak with reddened eyes from constantly weeping. Can relate. The banshee is a tale I'm quite familiar with, and I always imagine them to be more of a nervous creature rather than a vicious one. Their job is basically to let people know that their time is up, so I always imagine them not being too fond of the fact that they're constantly warning people that someone they love is going to die soon, so that's why I depicted the banshee the way that I did.
Banshee. I just realized, but she's talking about the Banshee. You know, there's a comic book character called the Banshee in DC Comics. I don't know if they have one tomorrow, but there's like literally one in DC Comics called the Banshee. And when she described it, I think that's her her origins of how she get her powers and stuff like that. I'm telling you, like, there's pieces of media and stuff that we seen. It's placed in our faces, man. We just don't know. Like, they all comes from, I guess, that dark backstory, the folklores and stuff like that. There's always truth to them. And they adapted it and made money off that. What does that tell you? You guys made it with me to the end, man. You're a truth seeker, seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, we did daily uploads for last month, man. First day of June, so I could continue to do these daily uploads for you guys, man. If you guys like them, to let me know, man, hit that subscribe button, hit that post notification button, hit that like button, man. Also, man, to let me know that you guys like these daily uploads. Follow me on my social medias as well, so we can always stay connected and we can grow the Seekers together. Guys, I'm catching the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, man. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, hitting that like button each and every video. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, that helps push us in the algorithm, so continue to do that, man. We're going to take off and grow. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best. Let's seek the truth.
15-year-old Brigham Hawkins is recovering after a black bear attacked him while he was vacationing with his family at a cabin in Alpine, Arizona. Now, this is an older picture, but I will show you what he looked like after the attack. He was alone at the cabin watching YouTube on the TV when the bear came in through the side door, came up behind him, reached around, and started swiping at his face. He has a rare neurological condition, so he can't move very fast, but after swiping him in the face, the bear turned around and left. Except it came back and started swiping him in the arms. Brigham's older brother heard him screaming, and he, along with their father, ran back to the cabin to see what was going on, and thankfully they were able to chase the bear away. I'm going to give you a trigger warning before I show you the picture because it's a little graphic. You can see one of the swipes there across his nose, and there's another one on his arm. He was transported to a local hospital and treated for the wounds. They also gave him a rabies vaccine. Law enforcement killed the bear about 120 feet away from the cabin, and its body was sent to a state lab for examinations and rabies testing. Officials want to warn everybody, if you happen to come across a black bear that is coming towards you, don't run from it. Back away slowly while maintaining eye contact with the bear and do things to make yourself appear bigger than you are. And they say that you can also throw things and yell and try to scare him away. Thank God the brother heard him screaming, or they could be planning a funeral right now.
There's a dark secret.
And always be aware, and I learned some new facts today. Seekers. I've been seeing people, man. I've seen a couple of videos, you know, people, they be, I guess, like, they try to run away from the bears and stuff. I never heard they said stand your ground, throw things, yell. Hey, man, we learned some survival skills today, man. Tap in with us.
Secret to why we celebrate our birthdays. I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory or if it's true, but it blew my mind. Okay. So according to the stories and what I've heard, is you know how we chant, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you.
The song.
And chanting that is actually a ritual against us. Oh, these noodles taste like your mom's booty. And you know how I like your mom's booty. I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out though. You notice how happy birthday is like a chant. You light the candles, turn off a light, you all get in a circle, you start chanting, and then you blow out the candles. Tell me that's not portraying a ritual experience.
He's spitting.
Now, let me tell you what I heard the ritual does. But first, what month and day were you born? Let me know down below. I want to know what sign you are. Me, I was born August 29th, and I'm a Virgo. Anyways, it is said that when we do that, it's a ritual that's sealing our fate to grow older. And that's why some people believe that people who don't celebrate their birthdays tend to look younger than they actually are. Now look, this is all conspiracy, and it's circling around the internet right now. But it's kind of scary to think about.
I would preface the story.
You guys believe that?
Like this is my actual worst nightmare. It's Julie Watts and her husband Jonathan, and on December 2nd, 2017, Julie was home alone when her phone pinged, detecting motion in the downstairs camera. This was the frame that was shown on her phone. Before we dive in, if you're a fan of true crime, make sure to go click the link in my bio to listen to my podcast, Creep Time the Podcast, on Spotify or Apple. She saw this photo and she immediately jumps into action. She locks her bedroom door, she calls 911, she starts texting her husband Jonathan, who's all the way in Minneapolis on business. After a few minutes, she gets another alert on her phone that there was motion detected in the downstairs bedroom. This was the photo sent to her phone. I know it's hard to see, but if you flip this picture upside down, it is somebody who is back crawling out of a closet. Julie did not survive this attack, as when police arrived, they came upon a gruesome display where Julie's hands had been taken. Police had no idea who could have done this. This was the final text exchange that was surfaced from her phone.
Man, that final message.
This is why it's so important that you get into the correct Uber. On March 29th, 2019, 21-year-old Samantha Josephson entered an Uber that she thought was hers, and she was never seen again. On this day, Samantha met with some friends at the Bird Dog Bar and left to go home at around 2 a.m. She ended up waiting alone in front of the bar for her Uber ride. And at 2:09, she's seen on surveillance entering this black Chevy Impala. Samantha's boyfriend, who lived in another state, was tracking her ride and noticed that the driver was going the opposite direction from her house. He tried to call her, but after getting no response, he fell asleep, and the next morning, Samantha's friends called him and asked him if he knew where she was because she never made it to work. They reported Samantha missing and asked to see surveillance footage from the bar and noticed that Samantha entered the car of 24-year-old Nathaniel Rowland. That night, Nathaniel locked his doors after Samantha entered his car, and he took her to a secluded area and stabbed her more than 100 times. He then went to an ATM and tried to withdraw money from her card twice. The next day, Nathaniel's car was spotted by a police officer. He was arrested and was eventually sentenced to life in prison.
Man, see, stories like this makes me wary of Uber, Lyft, you know, all those services. I rode in them like a couple of times, you know, when you had to, but when I get in one, man, I'm always aware, bro. Always by the door in case something weird try to go down and they try to do something to me. I'm like, I refuse to have something happen to me in the Uber or Lyft. I can't go like that. Tell me down below if you guys have any weird experience, man, with those Uber or Lyft rides. Edit. You guys know we call them out when we see them. That's definitely an edit.
Get ready with me while I tell you how this woman threw her boyfriend's private part in the trash.
What?
On May 14th of this year, around 8:50 p.m., 32-year-old Shengting Gua had called officers because she believed that her boyfriend was dead, but she could not provide a reason why. Officers with the Grand Junction Police Department had responded to that call, and they went to the Wood Spring Suites on Main Street. The dispatcher stated that while Shinting was on the line, she was given CPR instructions and she was hysterical. When officers arrived at the hotel room, they saw a bed with a large amount of blood smeared all over it, and Shinting was crying and upset. That's when they spotted a naked, unresponsive man, and he was lying on his back and his feet were under the bed. The officers then started to do CPR on the man, and that's when they noticed that his private part was missing. Officers were looking around the hotel room. They ended up finding his severed private part in the trash can that was in the bathroom. The man was then pronounced dead at the scene. Shinting had told officers that she found out she was pregnant, and her boyfriend were arguing on who the father could be. She stated that while they were arguing, she did stab him in the leg, but she was not trying to kill him. She only stabbed him because she was angry. Once she had stabbed him, she then cut off his private part. At that point, she didn't think that he was in any kind of pain, so she went to the store, bought some beer, antibiotics, and rubbing alcohol. As the day went on, she noticed that he started to feel cold, and she had feared that he might die, so she gave him some water, ibuprofen, and greens. Shinting was arrested and charged with second-degree murder and will appear in court on May 22nd.
This man lost his life after his pet hippo turned on him. Marius Els adopted 5-month-old baby Humphrey and took him to live in his 400-acre farm in South Africa. When Humphrey was a baby, everything was fine, but a lot of people warned Marius how dangerous Humphrey can become when he gets bigger. Marius ignored everyone and treated Humphrey like a pet. He would even ride on his back for fun and showed zero fear of this hippo. But it wasn't long until Humphrey got bigger and he eventually reached 1.2 tons and attacked Marius's nephew and almost killed him. But that's not all. In 2011, Humphrey attacked Marius in front of his family and took his life. This all happened when Marius called Humphrey to eat, and according to Marius's family, Humphrey's demeanor was different on this day, basically showing signs of aggression. Marius believed that his pet hippo would never betray him, so he ignored all these signs. When he continued to call Humphrey out of the water to eat, Humphrey suddenly stormed out and attacked Marius, biting into his body multiple times and then dragging him into the water. And this all happened in front of his family, the same people that warned Marius about Humphrey. What's crazy is that even though hippos look super sweet and cute compared to other wild animals, they actually kill more people each year than any other mammal on this planet. Just something to keep in mind.
I never knew that, man. Like I said, you see that picture of that baby hippo, you think it's all sweet and innocent, man, but people at the end of the day, they gotta realize, like, these are wild animals. You're trying to keep them, trying to domesticate them as pets. It never ends well. We just saw a case of that. I saw, a picture on Twitter. They be like, how, when the hippos be all sweet and innocent as a baby, but they really some menaces.
This is a personal case a viewer emailed over to me asking to share, and the purpose for this video is to raise awareness on DA and GV. And I apologize in advance for the severe censoring as I have to. On September 1st, 2023, a girl named Faith and her boyfriend Isaiah were fast asleep while his 2 cousins and older brother were staying over. In the middle of the night, Faith was jolted awake by the sound of a gun going off. Her and her boyfriend ran to cover until they realized that the gun that was fired happened inside the apartment and was from Isaiah's older brother, Ronald Adams. Ronald had his cousin. The couple brought him to the hospital in an attempt to save his life, but were unsuccessful, and Faith and Isaiah were questioning why Ronald would take someone's life. In the email, Faith let me know Ronald was under the influence of shrooms during the crime. Now, let me be clear, research shows mushrooms do not make a person act out in violence, and Faith is advocating for Ronald to receive life in prison. Since then, her and Isaiah have been responsible for over $7,000 in fees due to the crime happening in her apartment. If you want to help out, here's her GoFundMe, and what are your thoughts on this case? Let me know in the comments below.
Don't do drugs. That's what I took from that. You never know, man. Especially from... Stay away from stuff like that.
Mother is
is suing Snapchat for $10 million after her 13-year-old son committed suicide on his family's driveway. Timothy Barnett's case was initially labeled as a suicide and closed by local police, but 6 months later, messages were uncovered which showed her son sending money to a stranger in exchange for not posting explicit images of him on Snapchat. Despite evidence of extortion, local police closed the case and said it was not their responsibility to figure out why Timothy decided to take his life. Since then, his mother has gone to the FBI to help her catch the person who drove Timothy to his sudden death and filed a lawsuit against Snapchat for playing a role in their tragic loss.
Insanely dark facts and things that have happened at Disney World. When Disney had first opened way back in the 70s, Walt Disney had originally hired spies. He would station them around the park so they could eavesdrop on the guests and get a feel for how they actually liked the experience. It's pretty much common knowledge that Disney does have an underground tunnel system, but did you know that that system runs a full 9 acres under the park, and people have actually gotten lost down there?
Damn.
Roughly 10 or so years ago, there was an incident that was reported near Space Mountain when a guest tried to sneak on a duffel bag. When employees found out and they asked to search it, they found inside a 6-month-old baby. Why this parent was trying to sneak a baby onto a roller coaster, we do not know. In a lesser-known incident that Disney actually covered up pretty well, in 2004, a 38-year-old cast member who was playing Pluto was run over by the Beauty and the Beast float during the opening parade. Although clearly deceased at the scene, Disney refused to declare the death until the body was brought outside of the park.
Things people do for money, man. Doesn't even shock me anymore.
Alright guys, let's talk about the Dear David incident. The Dear David incident is when Adam Ellis tweeted about a ghost haunting him inside of his apartment. He tweeted, "So my apartment is currently being haunted by the ghost of a dead child and he's trying to kill me." He gives very detailed accounts of what he sees during sleep paralysis. He states he sees a child with a dented head and that the child is trying to hurt him. The next day, he dreamed about a little girl and she was explaining who this creature was. She said its name was David. She stated he only appears at midnight and you can ask him 2 questions if you preface it with Dear David, and if you ask him a third, he kills you. Before he got photo proof of David, he drew a sketch of a dented-headed child. Then one day he managed to snag this picture and this picture. Even his 2 cats were gathering by a door where he saw David. They could just tell something was on the other side. In one instance, he went to take a Polaroid of his lit hallway and it was completely dark. A user found this face inside of it though. This man had a plethora of evidence and posted it all on Twitter. Comment for part 2.
What do we think about Dear David? Some bad energy? Or something else? Even the cats by the door, man. Even they were picking that up. You know it's different when an animal can kind of pick up that type of spirit. Edit.
This is such a crazy story. In 1998, 17-year-old Omar bin Omran went missing while on his way to school in the city of Jaffa, Algeria. After his disappearance, his family assumed he passed away during the civil war that was going on at the time. While everyone accepted the fact that Omar was gone forever, his dog, on the other hand, knew where he was the entire time. 26 long years go by and his family makes a crazy discovery. Omar, who is now 45 years old, was found. At around 8 p.m. on that day, police arrived to the home and walked to the back of the house and lifted up what seems to be a hidden entryway, and they found Omar in a cellar where this man kept sheep, and Omar was located and was sitting under a pile of hay. There's this blurry video that was taken of him while he was being rescued.
Imagine slicing your face up with a chainsaw. Well, that's exactly what happened to this man here, Bill Singleton. Now, Bill was 68 years old at the time, and when all of this happened, he was home alone. And on that day, he decided he was going to take his trusty chainsaw and cut down some firewood. Now, this is something that he had done quite regularly, so he was very familiar with how to use the chainsaw. But in the middle of cutting down through some trees, he realized that the tip of the chainsaw struck a very large tree, which forced the chainsaw to repel backwards. Before he realized exactly what was happening, the chainsaw went right into his face. Immediately, he said he felt and heard the crack of his jaw as the blade went right through it. And as you can imagine, the pain was completely unbearable, and all he could think to do was to grab a handkerchief he had and cover his face. Although there was blood gushing everywhere, he did not fully realize the extent of his injuries at this point. And also at this point, he was not able to call anyone just because of the state he was in, so he did the only thing he could think of, and that was to get to help by himself. By some miracle, he was able to crawl his way to where he had parked his truck, get in, and again, by another miracle, drive his way to the closest hospital. Now, while he was driving, he did manage to get there with one hand while using the other to keep the handkerchief on his face. He also instinctively knew that he should not look at himself in the mirror because that would have just sent him spiraling. And even doctors agreed that it was a very good thing that he did not look at himself in the mirror in that state because it could have potentially sent him into shock. Now, there are photos of him in the hospital with a bunch of stitches where you could see the extent of his injuries, but they are very graphic. But because I can't show you those pictures, I will show you this, and it's a 3D model of what the injuries looked like. Essentially what happened is that the blade of the chainsaw had sliced through the middle of his face, cutting down his mouth and tongue before knocking out his front teeth and slicing right through his jaw. Now, thankfully, doctors were able to save his life considering that he barely missed a very vital artery. And Bill would go on to make a full recovery, and you can barely see the scar on his face at this point. But this is exactly why I will never go around a chainsaw.
Neither will I. I'll just be more careful around them now. I'm just like, that's a crazy story, but do you guys know the willpower you have to crawl and then drive and hold it all at the same time? Your mind's spiraling, man. You just gotta be calm, focused, and centered, try to ignore the pain. It's one of the most bizarre stories, and he survived too.
So do you guys want to learn about a creature that's actually scarier than the Native American skinwalker? A lot of you have not heard of this, and is actually believed to be the reason why so many people go missing in the national forest. Check this out. Let me know what you think, and let me know if you have actually heard about this.
Here we go.
Alright, so unfortunately, the original origins of the flesh gates, as what are these creatures called, are not known. A lot of people believe that they're cursed spirits, evil spirits, or an unknown cryptid that we haven't discovered. And they like to wreak havoc, and actually people, when they encounter these, most people don't survive to tell the tale. They are also shapeshifters, and unfortunately for a lot of us that live in the United States, they have been sighted in national forests where a lot of people go missing and disappearing without a trace. So one of the things that we are warned through Native Americans is never to whistle when you're out in the woods, and there's a reason for that. This particular creature actually is attracted to people when they're whistling out and about in the woods. So in general, they are predatory against humans, and many believe that they lure people by attracting you and calling you by name or trying to mimic somebody you actually love. Let me know if you want to learn more about this in part 2.
That's just a different version of a skinwalker, right? That's what I took from that. The skinwalkers, creatures like this, man, we be seeing sightings. You guys believe that? Or do you guys think they're just stories?
This girl took the life of her whole family so she could be with a supposed 300-year-old werewolf.
What the f?
This is Jasmine Richardson, and she lived with her family in Medicine Hat, Canada. She was known as being very joyful and outgoing. Jasmine's whole personality changed when she met 23-year-old Jeremy at a punk rock concert. Both started to date despite the huge age difference. Jasmine had joined a website called vampirefreaks.com and fell in love with the goth lifestyle. She would wear heavy makeup to make it seem like she was much older than she really was. At the age of 13, Jeremy had identified himself as a 300-year-old werewolf, and he would wear this necklace that had a little jar and it had blood inside of it. Supposedly, Jeremy would go out to the moon, howl at it, and that's when he would turn into a werewolf. Jasmine's parents, Mark and Deborah, found out about her relationship with Jeremy and him being 23 years old and her only 12 years old.
What the f?
And they forbid her from seeing him. Jasmine and Jeremy did not take this lightly, and they were coming up with a plan to take the life of her family. On April 23rd of 2006, Jasmine and Jeremy went through with their plan and took the life of her family, her parents, and her brother.
Damn.
Following day, a young boy went to Jasmine's house to hang out with her 8-year-old brother, and when he was waiting at the door, he could see in the window that there was a dead body. So he ran back to his mom's house, told his mom, and she is the one who informed police. Once law enforcement arrived at the scene, they noticed that the whole family was murdered. Went up to the 8-year-old boy's room, and that's when they saw him just laying there with his lightsaber in his hand. Law enforcement also noticed that Jasmine was the only one missing. Jasmine and Jeremy were both arrested for the crime. Jasmine was found guilty of 3 counts of first-degree murder, and since she was under the age of 18, she was only sentenced to 6 years in jail, and after that, she followed 4 years of supervision in the community. Jeremy was also found guilty of 3 counts of first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In 2016, Jasmine was released from prison and is walking free.
Who is the...
Because they're that young, man, they really can't go to the full extent of the crimes, but 300... How does people come up with these things in their head? He was a 300-year-old werewolf. And that huge age gap between them. Let's even discuss the name and talk about. That's just like, man. People are weird beings.
The youngest serial killer of all time. He has been called sadistic, remorseless, and committed his first murder at the age of only 7. Amarjit Sada was born in Bihar, India in 1998. Considered a loner and born into a poor family, the addition of his baby sister to the family made it much harder for his parents to make ends meet. When his aunt came to pay a visit with his 6-year-old cousin, he was left in charge while his mother and aunt went to the market. That was the day that his life took a dark and very twisted turn. It started off with him slapping and pinching his cousin before it escalated to him strangling her to death. When the parents returned, the girl's whereabouts were questioned and he immediately admitted to the murder, as well as showing them the location of the body. It was decided that this was simply a family matter and that it should not be reported. But it was less than a year later that he would strike again. This time, his own baby sister was the target, lifting her from the cot and strangling her. He was discovered by his mother, and he said he did it just like that. But this time, neighbors actually discovered the crime, and his parents pleaded them to keep it a secret. His last victim was horrifically a 6-month-old baby from the village. The mother of the baby told police that she left the baby sleeping while she went and did chores, and when she came back, the baby was gone, and a police investigation was immediately started. Hours after the police started looking for the baby, Sada freely admitted to killing her by hitting her with bricks and strangling her, then even led police to the shallow grave he attempted to bury her in. The young boy was taken into custody and interviewed, where it was reported that he showed absolutely no remorse, even smiling throughout the interview. He was much too young to send to prison or even give the death penalty, so he was sent to a juvenile home. Psychiatrists determined that he received much pleasure from harming others. The world's youngest serial killer was given a new identity and released in 2016 when he turned 18 years old, and his current whereabouts are completely unknown.
The German pedophile campsite is one of the most disturbing stories I've ever researched. A pedophile ring was operating at a campsite in Germany from 1998 to 2018.
What the fuck?
What was happening was a group of men was luring children to this campsite. Disturbingly, the kids' ages ranged from 3 years old to 14 years old. And once they were at this campsite, the cameras were turned on and the children were violently sexually assaulted. All on video. Once the kids were there, they were promised laptops, horseback riding lessons, bicycles if they complied with the abuse. And sadly, for 2 decades, nobody listened to these children. Some of the kids' parents even tried to go to authorities, but they never looked into this seriously.
Why?
This disgusting group of men lured a group of underage boys at one point to a garden shed, and they then kept them locked up in there with no food or water for days. And these men would take turns going into the shed and assaulting each child one by one on camera. This footage was eventually uploaded to the dark web, and hundreds, thousands of pedophiles across the world clicked on this, downloaded this, and saved this to their sick collections. So like I said, this was a hardcore pedophile ring being operated at this campsite. Now, the authorities claim that they caught all of the men responsible, but who really knows? This was a period of 20 years that these crimes happened over. And there was a recorded 450 different sexual assaults on children. And those are just the assaults that the authorities actually know about. But disturbingly, we still don't know what these perpetrators look like, and the public doesn't even know their last name. That's because German privacy laws protect them. So this is Adrian V., one of the pedophile ring's ringleaders. But in every photo of these guys online, their faces are blurred or they're obscured. And like I said, their full identities have never been released. I don't know what the point of that is, but it's got to be one of the dumbest laws that I have ever read about.
I agree.
Oh yeah, and you ready to get angry? The two men at the top of this pedophile empire who had victimized 23 children over 450 times, a lot of those times on camera.
What happened?
They destroyed 23 different childhoods. They were sentenced to 14 years in prison.
No
Another one was sentenced
way.
to 12 years in prison, and another one was sentenced to 10 years in prison. So for that many assaults on camera, footage that's shared to the dark web to thousands of other pedophiles, for destroying the childhoods and lives of 23 children, which are going to be people, adults, the maximum sentence received was 14 years.
How?
This should upset you, this should offend you. And this is definitely concerning because just a day ago, Germany lowered the minimum time that you need to spend in prison, 1 year, to 6 months if they find CP or CSAM on any of your devices.
Nah.
So they just recently decided to punish pedophiles less severely. If you want to hear more true crime stories, listen to the podcast that I co-host with my wife, Courtney, Murder in America. It's available now on all streaming platforms.
Telling you, man. Justice system, it's like trying to tilt towards another way where it should be here. It's like right there or right there. It's never can find an equal spot. Makes no sense, man. This world we living in, seekers. If you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, hit that like button, subscribe, hit that post notification bell. That's how we can grow in this algorithm, man. Also, follow me on my social medias down below so we can stay connected as a community. Like I said, you guys can send me videos if you guys want what you want me to check out. So, guys, get on that. Like I said, we're doing daily uploads every single day. Hopefully, you guys enjoy them, man. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna continue to get better with each and every single video. Out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, seekers? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, man. From YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, man. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. As you guys can see, man, we're going to be checking out some creepy TikTok videos for you guys today, man. Doing what we do best. Let's seek the truth.
So are we about to witness and hopefully live through a world-ending geomagnetic storm? And will it be a repeat of the Carrington event? Welcome back to the Hard Pill Show. I'm your host, Pharaoh. And in this video, we're going to talk about how this current geomagnetic storm could have bad implications.
Alright.
Now let me start out that this will most likely just be a loss of phone signal and pretty lights in the sky event. But let's get into why this can be something scary. So yesterday, Thursday the 9th, and today, Friday the 10th, there have been many corona mass ejections from the sun. NOAA released a statement and a warning stating that at least 2 X-class, which are the largest solar flares, were observed releasing from 2 massive sunspots in the sun, along with several M-class. Now, these are CMEs, or corona mass ejections, and there was another X-class release this morning, Friday the 10th. That CME from this morning is supposed to catch up with the other 5 from yesterday, right as they impact Earth. It's all scary stuff, and what has people up in arms and concerned about this is the last time something like this happened, the Carrington event occurred. The Carrington event was known as the most destructive CME, and it happened on September 1st, 1859. It was so intense that it created such bright auroras in the sky, you know, the northern lights, that some gold miners in the Rockies woke up thinking that it was morning. But the reason why this event was documented and is such a callback point to future destructive potential of the sun is the fact that the potential EMP that was created by the sun during this event fried all the telegraph poles and systems. Now, at that time, that was the means of communication across long distance, and was also really all the electronics that the world really had. So the concern today, in today's world, is if that kind of event occurred again, which is the concern with this current, geostorm, with how heavily our modern world is dependent on electronics for communication, for transportation, for food, for survival, then we would be thrown back thousands of years as a humankind because we depend so heavily on electronics. So, yeah, but most likely we'll just lose phone signal and have pretty lights in the sky. Good times. Friday.
What do you guys think, man? That video, man, just shows us how much we dependent on, man, technology. And if it's just can get taken out like that, we all discombobulated. We're all over the place, man. I'm surprised this geostorm, like these facts, hasn't been on the news or something so people could prepare. Wonder why that is.
8 o'clock Eastern Time, it is an important update. The geomagnetic storm has just reached Category 5, a G5 with a K index of 9. It's the strongest geomagnetic storm in 20 years.
Damn.
What you're looking at right here, if I get off out of the way, is the actual auroral oval right now. It's all the way down to the central United States. You can see it right there. And that's almost down, as a matter of fact, as far south as St. Louis and Washington, D.C. I mean, really amazing. Now, it has to be clear, and of course it's getting dark right now, but definitely head away from city lights, look to the north tonight. This could be one of your few chances in your lifetime at these latitudes to be able to see the aurora borealis, but get to dark skies. This map actually confirms what we saw just a moment ago. This is typically what you'd see. Down to the red line is where you'd be able to see an aurora when you have a G5 storm like this, which extends from, around Norfolk, Virginia, westward to Northern California. And you can see it just amazingly how far south it is compared to normal. I mean, if it's just a regular geomagnetic storm, it would be all the way up here in the northern tier of the United States to northern Maine, and it's nowhere like that. So definitely try to get out tonight, look to the north. Yeah, there will be some communication problems and things like that, but let's concentrate on the aurora right now because that's the fun part of these geomagnetic storms. Good luck tonight.
The strongest solar storm to strike Earth since 2005 is on its way tonight. Because of that, NOAA did issue a geomagnetic storm watch for the planet Earth. This is due to a G4 class solar storm, which is severe on the scale. Now, some of the effects that we might see from this tonight are possible voltage issues to the power grid up north. Disruptions are possible to satellite navigation as well. And auroras could be possible all the way down to the Gulf Coast tonight, especially on the horizon. If you want to have a good shot at seeing this, you are going to have to get out of areas of light pollution and also use a camera as well to see it best on the horizon. Now, if you really want to see it tonight, you're going to have to go north up into places like South Dakota, Minnesota, Illinois, Michigan, and especially up into Canada.
Really?
If you guys haven't heard yet, there's signal issues going on. There's a geostorm affecting everybody. It doesn't matter if you're on RTK wasp, Trimble, egg leader, deer. Everything's getting knocked out. A couple of geese here.
Even the geese getting affected.
If you guys have questions, you can call us, but I'm sure everyone's being affected, so I just wanted to let everybody know.
The thing that's getting to me is, man, we haven't been seeing this like on the news and stuff, man. It's like the geomagnetic storms and stuff. Everybody just they're focusing on the lights, but they just like kind of ignoring the possibilities of what could happen. That's concerning. These geomagnetic storms. When I looked up, I'm about to say I looked up in the sky at night and I ain't seen no aurora lights. And that's a rare opportunity. Maybe you guys saw, because we all over the place now. I've been seeing from the comments. So tell me if you guys been affected by this G5 storm. Whoa. Another one?
Hey guys, they are forecasting that we will see some additional geomagnetic activity about midday today, May 12th. So they are forecasting that it'll be somewhere between the G4 to G5 severe status. So be on the lookout, guys.
This geostorm, man. It's affecting it. It's affecting everything, bro. That's why I'm tapped in with the TikToks, man. I would have never known. But has it been on the news or something, man? I'm glad for our community seekers. It keeps me tapped in.
They had a machine that was used to control the weather. Then somehow the machine got hacked and it started malfunctioning. And it started controlling the weather on its own will. And it started killing people. So they had to destroy the machine because they had got hacked and started malfunctioning, being out of control.
And there's a movie called Geostorm. Is that a sign? Is there any correlation between those two? Any similarities? Hey, man. Nowadays, you never know. That Geostorm, like I said, that was a movie that came out. And we guys been, these videos, you've been seeing how these movies and stuff, they're based off, like, true events. Sometimes even these fictional movies behind the scenes, man. Like, every story, every movie, every piece of media you see, man, it comes from a true story somewhere around the world. What do you guys think? If you guys made it with me to the end, you guys are real ones supporting the channels. I really appreciate that, man. You're a true seeker. So thank you, man. Like I said, guys, if you guys want to stay tapped in with the community with us, man, follow me on all my social medias down below. I'm really trying to get my numbers up on there as well. So I greatly appreciate your support, just so we can, stay in contact with each other and we can grow and we can share what we find together. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, seekers.